Hello, Demcad. This is Michael Kerr. I also go by the name Medicinal Mike online. Um, I've replied to your videos before. As far as I can remember, you're up in Alaska, and that we were talking about food prep, I believe, the last video I did. Um, you asked what have I been doing the last 6 months or so to increase my prep. Um, well, several things. One is I am a medical cannabis user. In Canada, they have a federal program called the MMAR program. It's for people who have chronic pain. I have neuropathy and some other illnesses that marijuana actually helps. I don't like using that word, but that's what everybody knows it as. I prefer to use the word cannabis. That is my word for it. Or hemp if I'm talking about clothing and cloth and oil and food and whatnot. So, my reply to all this is it's great that you're getting all those tins and cans and whatnot together, and um, spices definitely. If you had nothing but you know wheat, rice, and beans uh, with a little bit of fat and oils in there somewhere, how are you going to spice it up? You need the salts, and you need different types of pepper or some sort of hot sauce. Vinegars, you can make your own vinegars. Um, those are all things that you can do. But for me personally, one of the things I've been learning to do is learning to make candy. And I'll tell you why. First off, I can infuse cannabis into oil or butter, and or using alcohol make a tincture. But with the infused oil, I can bake that into cookies or brownies or make candies. Now with the candies, you can you can put cannabis into the candies and it'll last for a very long time. It's a good method of storing cannabis for later use. Um, it doesn't last forever, and the potency goes down over time, as with everything. But it's a good method of keeping medicine on hand. Because I believe that cannabis is a medicine, I would be using it for so many different other things that I would be more than willing to give up things like any aspirin or ibuprofen or anything like that that I've been storing up. I'd be willing to trade those items to people who are used to taking pills in for something else that I could then trade for more cannabis or just grow my own and just use that as a trade item. The pills. Um, Trade items is going to be very important. So again, cannabis is going to be a very big trade item. During the last war, actually last few wars, they were saying that the main black market item that was traded was tobacco and alcohol, and I guess there's the nylon stockings and foods that were rationed. Anything that was rationed, butter, eggs, and what was it? Meat, cheese, and sugar. I think were the main things that were rationed. So, thinking of those things, take a look at the things that were rationed, putting away a bunch of solid chunks of sugar for the future, again, is a very wise thing because sugar doesn't spoil. Just that simple. You can buy a ton of it and it's just going to sit there. The worst it's going to do is if it gets wet, it turns into a big cube. So what? you could always, chop off a chunk and grind it down again. So things like salt and sugar, those are things that last forever. You don't have to worry about. There's no expiry date on those things. So I would focus on getting those things. And I remember listening to my dad talk about some of the things that they missed during the war. Um, and he said chocolate and candies were the two things that kids were willing to do almost anything for. They were just desperate for goodies and treats because they just didn't get it. So thinking of that as, again, a barter item, you would be able to take, we get sugar here in Canada in bags of 2 kilos at a time, and 2 kilos is, what would that be? 3 and a little something pounds, almost 4 pounds, or maybe over, it might be 5 pounds. Yeah, I think it's almost 2.5 pounds per kilo. Anyway, irregardless of that, yeah, 454 grams per, right, so 2 and a little bit, right. Okay, enough of the metric system conversions. Where was I? Oh, I was into talk about sugar and salt not going bad, and those being items that I would store a lot of because it doesn't go bad, and it's still relatively cheap. You can buy a lot of sugar for very little money right now. Again, rice, beans, and anything else that you can find canned or in large bag forms, lentils, anything like that. Grab as much as you can. What else? Trade items. Yeah, there's so many, just so many. But you're wise to um, have a sharp eye when you're out shopping to be able to, uh, if you have a little extra money, to buy an extra can of something or an extra bottle of spice or an extra bottle or extra package of salt or extra whatever, and just set it aside. One thing I did see that you were doing that um, I don't think is the best idea is when I have a box of goods like that, one of the first things I like to do, if I remember, is to grab a marker and write the date on those, because cans, um, you have to rotate them and whatnot, and I always look for the oldest one and use them first. So mark the dates on them as you're putting them in the shelf and moving things around. That would be a great suggestion on my part. It'll help you later on avoid any problems with bad cans stuck in the back of your cupboard. I guess that's about it for now. Good luck up where you are at. Things, well, things may get worse before they get better, but just remember there's so much that we can do for ourselves, and don't lose hope. Okay? With that, have yourself a good day. Bye now.